Okay, in this video we're going to look at painting. This particular type of painting is flat and it's called flood filling. The equipment you'll need: obviously you'll need a paintbrush. I tend to prefer these solid type paintbrushes. They're just easier to clean. There's no reason why you can't use a normal brush with bristles. A little spirit level, very important to get your work flat if you're going to be doing flood filling. If it's not flat, all the paint will move to one side. Piece of kitchen tissue to wipe the brush, and of course a paint. I've got a range of paints here so I can show you how different ones work. You can see I've already started this piece. Got a design, put it underneath some acetate, and I've piped it. Here you can see I've got some designs left to do. So let's start the first one. Now, although it's called painting, you want to forget the normal type of painting and think all the time flood filling. So I'm going to hold the bottle of paint very close to the work. I'm going to move the paint over onto the piece and then just move it around so it gets right up to the edge. If you don't get to the edge, it won't look much of a problem now. But as soon as you move the piece up to the light, you'll see a huge gap. If you get little bits of paint outside the work, don't worry. You can sort those out in a minute. And also don't worry if you actually get it onto the outliner. Nothing will show. This is a transparent paint and black outliner behind it will still look black. Here I'm just teasing the paint right up to the line. This particular paint I'm using is called Glass Art and it's by Marabu. Gives a nice bright colour when it's dried. Also, like many glass paints, it will drop a little when it's dry, so don't worry about putting plenty on. And there we go, that's the first piece done. You'll see we've got the odd drop of paint there we don't want. So this time I shall use the brush end just to lift that paint off, wiping it each time on my piece of kitchen towel. And then finally I get my piece of kitchen toweling in there and just rub off the excess. If it's a larger piece of paint you spill, again don't worry, wait for it to dry, you'll be able to pick it off with a nice craft knife of some type. So that's the first piece done. Let's just quickly do a second piece using a different type of paint. I'll use a water-based paint this time just to show you that this method of flood filling does work with most types of flowing paints. It doesn't work with the thicker water-based paints which are normally used for pipe and peel work. Again, this paint is by Marabu and it's called Decoglass. Looks a bit opaque when it goes on, but it does dry transparent. Now, because I want to do the centre here a different colour, I shall leave the outside to dry first and then do the middle bit. Just to show you can do this with a normal type brush, I'm now going to paint this other flower head with a pearlized solvent based glass paint by Rainbow Glass and using a normal type brush. Now I can see here there's a couple of little bubbles which have gone into the work. Again, they won't look too bad at the moment when it's like this, but as the paint dries and it drops, that could let light right through, so it's best to get rid of them. Wiping my brush on my paper towel, I just then flick and take the bubble out. And that seems to be all the bubbles gone. Little gap there, possibly a little gap there. There we go, that's that flower completed. Again, I'll leave the centre until the outside has dried. For this final test area, I'm going to use two colours of glass paint, both by Rainbow Glass and transparent. The first is Flaming Orange. So again, working over the work, I'm going to put the orange in the middle. Again, using plenty of paint. Cleaning the brush. And now move to the yellow. Important when you're putting two paints in the same area to make sure they're the same type of paint. There we are, I've got all the paint on, so now I'll just make sure it blends at the edges. That's blending two paints in the same area. We'll look at that more in the next video. We finish these motifs now by just filling the centre of these two flowers with a white pearl. You'll notice how flood filling like this gives a lovely smooth finish, and you'll also notice how this one here has blended slightly because we put both the paints in together while they were wet. We'll look at blending more in the next video. Have a practice yourself, and if you want this design sheet, it is available to download off the website.